Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Poe Community. I'm MikeArboit and I'm sitting here with Magic Mike Likey.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Awesome. It's really cool. It's Mike and Mike show.
Yeah, Mike and Mike connection. Here we go. Open mic night. Let's call it that.
I love it.
Okay.
Not with a can opener, though. It'll be very messy.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Mike.
People are going to fall asleep, but I will very, very briefly, if I can. I started off as a graphic designer in the 70s. Oh my goodness, it was that long ago, right out of college. That was my thing. I loved art. I always loved art. I was supposedly good at art. I did graphic design and cartooning. I was published across Canada for many years. Or when I moved from city to city, I got into papers there as well. So I never stopped loving illustrating and cartooning and fantasy kind of stuff and magic. I started loving magic when I was probably 4 or 6 years old, because in Montreal we had a TV show, several TV shows that weren't yet in the rest of Canada. The Magic Land of Alakazam, which was out of the States with a legendary magician called Mark Wilson, as well. We had Magic Tom. That's where I stole my name from.
Yeah.
And a lot of Montreal magicians did the same. Their Magic Mark, their Magic whoever. And he was on 7 days a week on television for many years. So, and we had many magic shops as well. So magic was always around me. Plus, Montreal is a very magical city as well. Not that Vancouver isn't. They're very similar cities in a way. You may disagree with me, but they're both physically beautiful.
Yeah.
One is really cold though, but hence I'm on the West Coast. I'm hiding and cringing in a corner. And so somewhere along the way, I moved to this incredible city called Winnipeg. And sometimes we call it Whippineg, but I like to call it Winnipeg. And they took to me for some reason. I have no clue why, but whatever I went for, I started working full-time in there. And in my spare time, I did magic. Many places I approached, they were open to entertainment and performing, and Montreal was already ahead of the game, so I just would walk in and sell myself this way. Well, Toronto and Montreal, there's magic everywhere. You walk into a restaurant, there's a magician entertaining. In the bars, everywhere you go, it's like, oh, we better do the same, okay. And so they hired me, but apparently there was a magic life before I moved to Winnipeg. There were many professionals working. When I first moved to Winnipeg, there was a couple in the phone book. And I looked them up. I was all curious. I was like, who are these people? One of the major magic clubs called the International Brotherhood of Magicians started in Winnipeg. Doug Henning, a world-famous magician from TV, etc., was born in Winnipeg. Winnipeg is rich with a magic heritage. I'm finding out more and more in Vancouver the rich magical heritage here as well, and really excites me. I love old stuff. That's why I love myself. No, I love old things and the quality and heritage that follows stuff. So in a short time, I got a TV show in Winnipeg, and that was, I say it's a fluke. Some people might say it was meant to be, but I was renting the Planetarium Auditorium there once a month just to keep active. I was doing other things. I wanted to produce my own shows, and I was. And someone from a station, it's called VPW, it's not called VPW anymore, it's Shaw, kept coming and watching me, unbeknownst to me. Ooh, it's creepy, isn't it? In any case, I'd get a phone call. Back when there were like real phones that are hooked up. What the heck is that? And they invited me to do a one-off show, a special. And I'm thinking, no, this ain't going to be a one-off thing. So I made a proposal to them because I'm insane. And we did the 1 hour thing. And a month later, 9 years followed of a regular TV show.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then I was also a guest on another kid show. I was on there once a week for several years, and I just love magic. I love performing.
How fast did it happen for you?
In Winnipeg, I have to say, fairly within 3 years.
That's pretty good. That's really good.
But I was hustling. I was a lot of people don't like that word. Too bad. But when I'm passionate about something, I go for it. Yeah. And I know you're like that as well. We've been chatting, and I love what you've done here.
Thank you.
Amazing venue, you know, and it's such a great opportunity. It's going to sound like I'm sucking up. I'm not. I really mean this. They don't care. He's sucking up. Mike is sucking up. No, this is great because it's unlimited here what you can do.
I appreciate that. We're really trying to bring community together, and not just the same communities together. We're trying to take communities from every aspect of entrepreneurs. Just people don't think of artists as an entrepreneur technically, even though they are,
We have to be.
or an entertainer. They are. And a lot of entertainers, what people don't realize, the grind that they have to be on, because in the beginning, that's not your only job. Like you said, you were into graphic design and you were hustling. You were going hard because you had another job, right? You were
Exactly.
So it was more than full time.
Exactly.
But you still took that time to do what you were passionate about. Was there a certain trick that got you into it? Was there like something that just like caught your eyes as a kid that just just resonated and made you have to do it?
That is an amazing question. No one's ever asked me that.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
And I think it's very good. My first remembrances, and for some reason I have a really good memory, kind of freaks my wife out for some reason. I was about 4, and I saw the Sawing a Lady on the Magic Land of Alakazam, done with a small train. So the girl, his wife, Nanny Darnell, she goes into this train. Her top half resides, or is placed into one half of the train. Her lower half into the front half of the train, and it's on tracks and wheels, and it's wheeled out, etc. And he puts a couple of blades in. And it's like, whoa, this is so cool. And then he turns around, and the legs and feet are moving. They're real. Sometimes I can give this away. A lot of people out there have guessed this. Sometimes the feet aren't real. The feet were real. Like, holy cow, what's going on there? So that's my first remembrances. And I never forgot that. When I watched Magic Tom, he did a trick all the time called Mutilated Parasol. I still do that occasionally for my kids' shows, and it's a parasol, a very bright parasol, and you show silk scarves, and they change places. In a short time, it's just an umbrella with ribs and handkerchiefs hanging from it, and you have the scarf elsewhere, and then they change places relatively fast. And I loved that. Whoa, that's really neat. And I kind of tried to figure stuff out, but at that point I had no knowledge of magic. I just enjoyed it.
Okay, that's really cool. I know, like, my idea of magic, like my background of knowing it, I don't myself know much about it, but just seeing almost like how vast it can be, because you have that traditional magic tricks, and then you have the stunt magicians that became, I find, in my generation, came quite big. Like, do you consider them the same, or do you think they're definitely different realms?
These are so good. These are so good. I generally, in the past, have not. I've wanted to speak about stuff like that. Now that you've asked me, I will. We're talking David Blaine, aren't we?
David Blaine, Chris Angel, kind of more the like. Okay. Chris Angel does do the typical stuff, but you never know it's real because it's all on TV, for the most part. But David Blaine, that's more of a, to me, it's testing the body more than the typical magic, right?
Yes.
But but he sells it as magic. So that's why I'm really wondering what a magician thinks about it.
Really, I'm going to go there. You've asked me, I'm going to tell you. There's pros and cons.
Yeah.
To test someone's limits, I love that. I do that every day. I exercise all the time. I push myself, hopefully until I'm dead, which won't be for a long time. There's a lot to be said about what David Blaine does.
Yeah.
If anyone has caught his balloon thing that he did recently, I don't think that's real magic. That's science and physics.
Yeah.
But when you look at it another way, isn't science and physics kind of magical?
Yeah, it
Isn't
is.
there something very special about that? I love Chris Angel. I love Mind Freak. I just love the goth thing and all of that. He does do most of that stuff live on stage.
Yeah.
Walking up a building, obviously, he doesn't do, but he has a small wall, quite a tall wall, in his stage shows, and he actually walks up that. I love the goth thing, the steampunk thing, that look, that feel, that genre. But I don't like it when it gets gross. I've seen him or someone else, they just ripped a girl apart, and you see guts and blood splattering everywhere. That's taking the Sawing a Lady in half to the max. but there's something aesthetically not pleasing about that for me,
Yeah.
for my own personal taste. Maybe someone else will love that, and they probably do. That's why he does it. But my favorites are still the old school guys like David Copperfield.
Yeah.
The man is a genius. The man is a creative genius. He's obsessed with perfection. And I could share a little bit, very briefly, some of the behind the scenes stuff that he invented. He invented a two-way mic, which is very mainstream now, where with the flick of a switch, he can speak to his audience, or just his backstage assistants without the audience hearing. And he developed that for when he'd see something potentially going wrong with an illusion in between tricks. Like after a trick is done, if he noticed a caster or a wheel was loose, he, as he's turning, he'd go part A, blah 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 blah, needs fixing, and then he'd go on. So there's all this cool stuff. In the wings, he has electronic name stuff, LED stuff or whatever, so he doesn't forget the assistant's name. We're I don't know if magicians will admit this, but we're famous for not remembering people's names from the audience, and it's like my mind will go blank, so I'll make a joke of that, but not with him. All he has to do is look at the person, and in the wings he sees their name lit up. So that's just a little bit of behind the scenes genius of David Copperfield.
That's pretty cool. Is there any like tricks that you've seen magicians do, either friends, on TV, anything that you yourself cannot figure out?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Very recently. And I love, I'm going to give a plug to those shows on TV, those competition shows. I guess we can say Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
We just did. I just realized, no, Mike, you can't say Penn and Teller. I love their show.
Yeah.
I love Masters of Illusion, because it gives me ideas to enhance existing tricks that I do, or just to come up with them. There's not a trick I see that either they're selling already to magicians, or, I see they've modified this. This is actually that taken to the max. So not anymore, but recently, i.e. a few months ago, there was a mentalist on, I think it was America's Got Talent, and his name is, Max somebody. I didn't do that on purpose. I actually forgot the person's last name. And he was a likable guy, and he did an effect, a mentalism, a mind reading kind of effect. And it's like nothing exists on the market. Nothing exists in the last 10 years. There's so much new magic in the last 10 years, new methodologies, nor going back 100 years. How the heck did he do it? About a week later, a trick came out in the magic trade papers, magazines, of which I was published recently too, as well, I should say. And that's just that. And he took it to the max.
Switching it up a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that's probably where, stuff is always recycled in all industries.
Absolutely.
And just made into a better or a different something. So that's, I think, magic is always going to adapt. And where I think what's so respectful of magic from the past is not all the whistles that we have now. Like you can, I think in a few years from now, there's going to be magicians that aren't magic at all because they're just using special effects, and you can sell anybody as that. So guys that have the talent and just the mind trickery that you guys have, that's unbelievable to me, especially when you do take those people trying to make names for themselves that are doing tricks on the sides of the street and stuff, and the average human being cannot put together what they just did. And it's kind of like how I came from the wrestling industry, and it's just, everybody knows it's a show, but there's that sense of just like disbelief that you don't know how it happened.
Yes.
And I feel like for me as a wrestler, very little actually surprised me anymore. Once in a while, something new, innovative, whatever, would just hit me like bricks in the face. It would be so amazing.
Yes.
And that's probably how you're dealing with it too.
Absolutely.
That like you've seen it all, and all of a sudden one day, boom! Like, what is this?
Exactly. And really, the stuff that goes on backstage, the methodologies nowadays, I'm going to say nowadays, is sometimes more fascinating than the effect itself. I almost gave some stuff away. I won't give some stuff away, but there's stuff that exists in the magic world, some techniques. There's a lot of electronics nowadays, in case you haven't guessed, a lot of electronic stuff. But you know what? I've played with both. especially with mentalism. I'll go there. With mentalism, nowadays, a lot of magicians use, we'll say, electronic methods. And you can do the exact same thing in most cases, not all cases, old school way. It's like, why worry? I've had things in rehearsal go wrong, stuff that's expensive that I bought, where it's charged up. And when I'm rehearsing, it's like, oh my God, it just died. That can't happen.
Yeah.
No way is that going to happen in actuality. So I'll resort to old school ways again because nothing can go wrong.
Yeah.
Really, I shouldn't say
Oh,
that.
I mean, anything can go wrong in anything, but I find now there's way more that can go wrong after being in video podcasting for as long, little amount I have been doing it. There's so much that can go wrong. One little thing with audio, video, lighting, anything, a glitch in the camera. It's crazy, and if you know how to fix that by just going back to an older way of doing things, and you have that mentality, that's great. Because there's a lot of people that only know how to do the new.
Absolutely.
And as soon as that fails, they're screwed. Right?
Absolutely. Did you press the on button? No.
Yeah, I'm good. We're good.
That happened to me once.
Yes.
It was one of the best interviews I ever did.
Yeah.
And I forgot to turn on the...
It happens.
Oh.
I had a great interview with a friend of mine from wrestling his story is insane. Like, it was a 2-hour interview, and the first hour was just, for some reason, the audio didn't work. You just see it click on. It doesn't make sense. That it didn't work the first half. It was recording the whole time. The cord was fine and everything, but just the way it rendered didn't work.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like It's almost not meant to be, but, I mean, do what you can do, right? You were in Winnipeg for how many years?
13.
13. So when you were there for that long and then you moved up to Vancouver, what made you come out here?
Wow. I just got tired.
Yeah.
I really did. There I was for 13 years, and I miss Winnipeg every day. I don't not love Vancouver, but every city has its pros and cons. And so I got tired of 40 below. I really did. 40, minus 40 and minus 40 wind chill for 2 weeks in January, 2 weeks in February, every year. And I tried changing my attitude. I tried all kinds of mind tricks, to adapt. And just, I couldn't. But on top of that, a year before I moved, everything went belly up. I'll say belly up. And for me, my main client, which at that point was a restaurant, it was also my hangout, was paying me $200 an hour. And that's another thing as well. Ask me about salary in a few minutes. Just to sit and do, for fun, tarot card readings for the customers. So I'd sit at a booth and customers were lined up. It would be free for them, but I'd get paid by the restaurant bar because it's Magic Mike. Oh, big deal. But Magic Mike is reading their tarot, their cards. And I threw in for them a free brunch. I do magic for the kids at brunch time, Sunday brunch. And that went belly up. And I just bought a new vehicle.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. And the fellow's TV show that I was on for 3 years, that went belly up. My own TV show. They said, you know what, let's take a break for a year and then you'll come back and whatever after 9 years. And it's like, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe the universe is showing me something. Maybe it's time to really live somewhere where I wanted to as far as temperatures are concerned. Yeah. Originally, I wanted to live in Florida or Bahamas or whatever. I'd visited there many times and I liked it. But in Canada, you didn't have to, go too far. Vancouver, in a way, is paradise because the worst is rain. Big deal. You don't have to shovel it, as they say. And I didn't snoop around first. Normally, I would check out a place or would have some kind of connections or whatever. I did have a connection, but he wasn't a reliable connection. He gave me a very rosy story of his life here. And, I came here and was like, uh-oh, hot dog. Uh-oh, this is not what he made it out to be. And I was stuck. But again, I think I put all my money into moving out here, all my credit cards, everything. And it's like, I can't change my mind. I was forced to kind of stay here, which I believe is for a reason as well. And what followed was essentially me doing the best I can with all my resources, all my gifts, if you want to call them gifts and talents, etc. And it took me too many years, more than the 3 years I had in Winnipeg, to kind of bounce back.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I never completely financially bounced back as I did as I was doing in Winnipeg, Toronto, or Montreal. I don't get that. Why are the salaries half they are here than say even in Winnipeg? I don't get it.
Like you said, mentioned salaries. So like, yeah, when you're getting paid in Winnipeg, were the pays different out here? Like, were they willing to pay less?
Half.
Yeah.
It freaked me out because I left Winnipeg getting $350 for a half-hour, 40-minute magic show. That's partially because I was on TV and my agents were marketing me and all that. Now magicians in Winnipeg are getting $450 25 years later, and here magicians are getting $125, $150.
Yeah.
It's like, why? I still don't have that figured out. I asked someone once, they said, oh, it's like the 70s here. It's still the same prices, but that doesn't technically explain to me why. I don't.
They pay people the same way they did in the 70s, but it's the most expensive place in Canada.
Yes.
So it's bizarre. Our oil prices are the highest in Canada. Everything is the highest in Canada. But our people are the highest in Canada. And I think that's a reason, is because they just it's really difficult out here. A middle class job here would be a high class job other places in Canada. True. Toronto's another story. Toronto's expensive just like it is here, but that's Toronto. Vancouver's Lower Mainland branches out to everywhere. It's expensive. And you don't get paid as much. Yes. It makes no sense. And we get taxed like crazy. Obviously, we know that too. But I find for entertainers, it is extremely hard here. Less places to perform at. People don't support people as well out here. I find like local, I'll say musicians. I have friends that are very successful musicians that they travel around Canada, United States, the world. They're selling out shows. They come home, nothing, even though they're from here. Yes. And it's a really bizarre place. Vancouver's beautiful, but yeah,
it's priorities. I was thinking about that, about the market out here for entertainers of any kind. And I think people's priorities are different. It's an outdoor place, basically BC and Vancouver.
Yeah.
People would rather hike, and why not? Duh. Whereas Winnipeg, Toronto, Montreal is more indoor cities. Although the beauty of Montreal, people do a lot of skiing. A lot of people do skiing in Toronto and even in Winnipeg as well, albeit not uphill. That's a Winnipeg joke. It'll be okay, flat. But I think it's the nature of the city that here is an outdoor town, and it's geared more towards outdoor events, outdoor interests. For example, a mom or a family would much rather, generally, I'm just saying generally, not everybody here, they'd rather take their kids to like a Crash Crawlies kind of place, or a gym kind of place where they're tumbling, or outdoor, a water slide place. Yeah. Whereas in Winnipeg, Toronto, or Montreal, their first thought, a magician or a clown. Clowns are creepy. No, I didn't say that. A magician or a clown, something indoors.
Yeah. Yeah, way more work for those people too, right? Yes. Like you don't meet people here that are clowns, magicians doing parties. I joked about it when I left wrestling. I had these ninja costumes, and I'm like, should I do ninja skills at birthday parties just to make some extra money? And it's just like there's not really a market for it out here. Like you said, it's a lot of the parents, it's almost like they're super busy and just want that basic, like, okay, no, we'll just book this room or book this place and just in and out in an hour or two, and it's done.
When you think about it, that makes sense too.
Yeah, it does. It does. But like, are you working on anything right now in Vancouver? Like, what are you working on?
I was going to joke and say, nope, absolutely nothing. I'm idle. I'm doing nothing. One of the reasons or ways we met was probably because of what I'm doing right now. Since, yes, I'm going to say the big C, COVID, Isn't that interesting? It's not cancer anymore, it's COVID. But
Yeah,
anyway.
and you know, one's a bigger killer a little
bit,
bit.
and faster too,
Yeah.
which may be good as well. Who knows? There's a reason for everything. Since COVID, I've written and published 4 books. They're magic-related books. I no longer write books on metaphysics, self-help, alternative wellness, which is all my degrees and all my credentials.
Yeah.
I just got tired after 25 years of catering to that market. In the last 5-10 years, I've slowly come back to magic because I felt I had more time. I wasn't pursuing my degrees. I'd earned them. And I just wanted to be happy the next 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
Really happy. Not that I wasn't happy as Dr. Michael, but happier, say, doing magic. And so within the last 5 or 10 years, I shifted my focus. In the last few months, 4 books on magic. I was published in 2 World Trade Magic magazines, a story about myself as well as a trick that I came up with, I supposedly invented, but nothing's really original, but supposedly. And yes, I'm going to talk about the webcast podcast. Yes. I know that's what you're after, but I threw in a few other things. I'm so excited about this webcast podcast. I really am. Look, this is the face of an excited man looking at the wrong camera. Where there's no red light. Help me. I actually just wrote a book, published a book, and it was in the Magic magazine called The Magic of Television, and comparing, oh, this would have been perfect for you. You're doing it. How to do this instead of in lieu of TV. You know, this is the way. Almost anybody, if they have a camera and a decent phone, they can do it. I mean, you have pro equipment here and whatnot. You can't really compare, but it's very, very exciting. So I veered more back towards television or webcasts and podcasts, combining my love of interviewing people with the broadcast industry, such as it is now, in this sort of genre.
Oh, that's wicked. So that's got to be fun talking about people with like passions. That's, I find, as a podcaster, obviously I'll always talk more with the people that have the same passions as me. So when you're doing podcasts, with how many have you recorded so far?
I've got in the can 3. I will in the next couple of weeks have about a dozen or so. I always like to get ahead a bit, but I realized I'm using a different program than I have in the past, so it's taking me a day for each show, like for me to edit each show, and it's like, I don't have the patience, do I? Yes, I love it.
And you know what, after, I think you'll love releasing it, just because it is, like I said, something you're passionate about, and it's something that is near and dear to your heart, and you came back to it after being away from it again, and that's I feel, whenever you're passionate about something, sometimes you need that breather.
Yes.
And you come back refreshed, and you come back just ready to do it more so than you ever have, right?
Absolutely.
Where can we find you? Like
under a rock. There I am. Just lift up the rock, and there I am. There's the most obvious, and that's the website, which is coincidentally www.magicmikelikey.com.
Okay.
I'm all over social media simply because I can. So find me as Magic Mike Likey, not Magic Mike. Magic Mike Likey on Instagram, Twitter. I'm on the Twitter, on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We connected that way as well. Tumblr. I'm actually Magic Mike's Castle Mysteries for some reason. One of my webcast podcasts years ago was called that. So if you Google Magic Mike Likey, I'm everywhere. And it's like, oh no, what have I done?
I'll post all of the ones that we feel are key for us to post. I know it's best to have all your options open, but you know, there's in today's time, there's I'd say a group of 5 social medias that are like the ones you really want to go hard with.
Yes.
And we'll definitely push those for you. You said you wanted to do a trick. You want to do a trick?
Sure.
Let's do a trick.
I actually felt we were wrapping up, so I was psyched for that.
Yeah.
I did bring an ordinary marked deck of playing cards. No one ever reacts to that. Maybe because it's an old joke.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. But in the old days, I'd have to just say, we're going to use an ordinary marked deck of playing cards. Oh, and everyone would laugh. And it's like, no, really, it's marked. Look, it's got soup stains on it. No, it is. You can shuffle up if you want. That's up to you. Okay. And the more you shuffle, the less time we have for the effect. Just kidding.
Yeah, I don't shuffle very well either. I'm going to do this quick little...
Well, I shuffle off to Buffalo. I shuffle along very well. Now, I'm wondering if I should do it this way. You know what? You're going to do the whole thing. I was
Okay.
going to write a prediction. We're just going to try to do this. I'm literally winging this.
Okay.
So if it doesn't work, we'll edit it out somehow, hopefully. I want you to take half the cards and decide to keep either the half in your hand or the half on the table. The choice is completely
I'll
yours.
take this one then.
That's yours?
Yeah.
Excellent. We can actually...
I don't know if that's half or not. But...
It has to be half exactly.
No, yeah?
Yeah, otherwise it won't work. Because you're going to cut again.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's see if it's about half. Let's see. That looks a bit taller, right? So, no, that's still...
Very good.
There you go.
I can see you're a poker man.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay. So now the half you have in your hand, you're going to half again. So in other words, take half of that. Now, pick a pile, any pile. Gomer pile. No, very good.
Yeah.
And what I want you to do, you could bring that quarter and put it on here.
On top?
Yeah, sure. That way, I'm a neat freak, really. It has nothing to do with the trick. But you'll see at the end, you have to pile everything else on. How many cards do you have there? Count them.
Oh, well. 12.
12, excellent. So hold them face down in your hands like this. You have 12?
Yeah.
I want you to count down 3 and look at the third card.
So
Don't tell me what it is, though. So 1, 2, and the third card, look at it. Remember what it is, please.
Yeah. Whoa. Stuck my hands.
It's all good.
Okay.
Okay. You're going to place this stack on top of that stack.
The stack?
This stack on top of that. And we're good to go. Remember your card.
Yeah.
Normally I'd write it down or whatever. So I want you to keep it very clear in your mind. I'm going to try to pick out your card from the lineup. No, that's something else. I'd like you first to focus on the color, red or black. But don't tell me what it is. I'm getting that it's bright. I'm going to guess that it's red. Is it red?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, a little bit of this is body language, too. It's not genuine mind reading, although some people think that happens. I'm going to go with hearts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But now, this is actually harder because there's many what I call face cards,
Yeah.
like Jack, Queen, or King. But I realize now from your response that it's a number card, correct?
Yeah.
Number card? Very good. So we can eliminate the jacks, queens, and the kings. It is a red card. It is hearts. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just talk and I'll say something like, now I want you to focus on whether it's a lower number, middle number, or a higher number. And just by your non-physical response, which to me is actually physical, I'll be able to hopefully come really close. I've selected one. I've committed to that one. And you'll agree they're all different.
Yeah.
But I did settle on the one.
Yeah.
What was the name of your card?
5 of hearts.
Check this out.
Oh, man.
Very same 5 of hearts. And free choice. That was hard.
Yeah, that's definitely surprised me.
Wow.
I don't know how that stuff happens.
Me too.
Well, thank you, Mike. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you again, work with you again. I love that you came by here and you love it because, yeah, definitely want more people like you. You're a talent from the past that's bringing it to the future, and it's yeah, I love what you've done. I really I appreciate what you do. You know?
Same.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I'm excited by what this man does. It's so cool.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So yeah, follow Magic Mike Likey over here. Follow all of his pages and check out the video too that we're posting right now.
Hi, I'm television's Magic Mike Likey, and in the 1980s and 90s, I produced and starred in the world's longest regularly produced TV show about magic, Magic Mike's Castle, in Winnipeg, Canada. I toured and enjoyed regularly performing for audiences of all ages. Today, I still perform and teach magic, produce magic CDs, animated DVDs, comic books, and I'm also known for my online magic shop and webcasts and podcasts, also called Magic Mike Likey's Castle Mysteries. I was also a college-trained graphic designer, cartoonist, and caricature artist, working regularly at Ontario Place doing caricatures and drawing my own syndicated strip that was seen in the late 70s across Canada, as well as my own editorial cartoons seen across Canada as well. Today, I do my own animated version of my Magic Mike's Castle, as well as other projects. Everybody to my brand new podcast slash
Joining me, I'm Reverend
webcast. It's
Dr.
called
Michael Likey. We have our very, very special guest this week.
Now in its 11th season, listen and watch Fridays to my podcast and webcast on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, Anchor FM, and YouTube. Expand your consciousness and awareness with Dr. Michael's more than 40 paperback books of a self-help, mystical, new thought, and metaphysical nature of
La 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 la, la la la, la la la. You can do anything you want.
Join me now at the castle. And remember, like the mushroom said, I'm a fun guy.